David Glaser was a little boy with a big smile and an even bigger heart.
Lovable, strong, intelligent person.
He shared a special bond with his mother.
David was very level-headed. He was my rock.
David's sister Elizabeth was his best friend.
David has always been there for me. He's always acted like my older brother, even though he's my younger brother.
And when David and Elizabeth's father died, he became the man of the house.
He knew it was tough, and he tried to make it easier.
David was the one person his family and friends could count on.
He was kind to his family, helpful, courteous. He'd always be there if you called him.
He was active and healthy.
He loved the water, he loved the snow, he loved the mountains.
He would do like martial arts and snowboarding, and he loved life.
At 19 years old, David had just been promoted to foreman at Tradesman International. He was planning a trip to Germany and looking forward to the future.
He had dreams and aspirations that he wanted to do.
Until a dangerous, defective, elevated Arizona freeway ramp stole David's chance for a normal life.
I want to get him out and get him to a lake. I want to get him somewhere besides this room, this bed, and I can't get his feet on the ground.
It was May 9th, 2020. David was riding his motorcycle on the elevated flyover ramp connecting westbound US 60 to eastbound I-10 in downtown Phoenix, when David, who was driving with traffic at 55 miles per hour, lost control of his motorcycle on the sharp curve. David's motorcycle hit the concrete barrier wall, launching him over the ramp. He fell 165 feet to the ground. Arizona state troopers responding to a 911 call found David's motorcycle and one of his shoes on the US 60 West ramp before they discovered David clinging to life in the dirt 165 feet below the ramp. It was a tragedy that didn't have to happen. If only ADOT would have done more to warn motorists of the dangers on this poorly designed ramp.
If you're 165 feet off the ground to begin with, and then you don't want to design everything about this ramp either marginal or even below marginal, which is what they did here.
Professional engineer Dr. Stephen Richards says the ramp was built for one lane of traffic back in the 1990s. Despite the fact that the population was growing and making a ramp wide enough for two lanes would have only cost a couple of $1 million more.
What they recommend on the front end is that you anticipate what your traffic volumes are going to be well into the future and make sure that you have enough width to accommodate adding a lane in the future. And they did not do that in this case.
Predictably, in 2018, ADOT realized it needed to add a second lane, but it didn't have the 46 feet it needed. So ADOT restriped the ramp and squeezed two lanes of traffic into the same 32-foot space by eliminating the 10-foot shoulder, removing the barrier offset, and making the lanes narrower.
So instead of the standard 12-foot, they went to 11.5 feet for each lane. But the more significant change was in the shoulders. The outside shoulder, they reduced that from 10 feet all the way down to 3 feet.
Dr. Richards says the 3-foot shoulder violates AASHTO standards because it doesn't give drivers who lose control on the sharp radius curve enough recovery area to regain control. And the crash evidence from vehicles hitting this barrier over and over again is clear.
Multiple motorists have had accidents at this curve.
In addition, the downhill portion of the ramp begins on the sharp curve, hiding the downslope and reducing sight distance.
When they did the restriping in particular, it lowered what would be the safe speed to a speed which was 20 or 25 miles less than the operating speeds on the main lanes. that motorists were used to and that motorists expect in a freeway environment.
ADOT was aware of the defects, but rather than spend a few $1,000s on dynamic messaging signs, which are better at slowing motorists down, ADOT posted advisory 35-mile-per-hour signs. A speed study confirms most motorists are driving 55 miles per hour on the direct connection ramp between US 60 and I-10.
And it's typically used for freeway to freeway movements, and the intent of that is for motorists to be able to continue driving at the same speed that they were operating on the main lane.
According to ADOT's own standards, the ramp must be designed to be safe at 55.
When you put one after the other and just stack up all these deficiencies, then you end up with a really unsafe driving situation.
But ADOT cared more about saving money than saving lives, and David paid the price. As a result of being catapulted over the ramp, he suffered a massive severe brain injury, fractured every bone in his body, and damaged major organs.
He had facial fractures and cranial fractures, spine fractures, cardiac issues and pulmonary issues with contusions.
David underwent emergency brain surgery to remove a portion of his skull to relieve the swelling.
They said they had to put him back together like a jigsaw puzzle. They said that his bones were so badly damaged that they pieced him back together over titanium rods.
For the next year, David was transferred from one hospital to another, then to rehab centers and long-term acute care facilities.
He went from hospital to hospital. He went to, I think, 8 different facilities total, 8 or 9.
In June of 2021, David was finally discharged to Karen's mother's home. Today, more than 3 years since the crash, David remains bedridden and helpless. Karen and Elizabeth provide his care around the clock.
It's still constant. I mean, we're lucky if we get 3 hours of sleep.
David needs to be turned over several times a day.
He gets rotated every couple hours.
He is fed and medicated through a G-tube.
He has preventative Keppra twice a day.
He requires frequent suctioning. He has no control of his bladder or bowels. He cannot walk, talk, or perform the basic tasks of daily living.
We do a little bed bath, clean up his face.
Karen and Elizabeth get help from a 5-day-a-week nurse and part-time aide. But even with all hands on deck, they cannot provide the level of care David needs.
What they're missing is the appropriate setup in the house. They are struggling day to day with insurance issues, primary care issues, home nursing issues.
David is still missing his bone flap.
His right temporal lobe is still completely off. The whole cranial section is open, so he's open from here across to the ear, behind here, and straight up.
He has a large open wound in his sacral area.
As long as he has an open wound that's a stage 4, at any time he's risk of a septic event where he could have bacteria in his bloodstream and become critically ill.
David's open wounds make him ineligible for admission into a brain injury rehab program where he could regain more function.
He needs that acute program so that we can jumpstart him and see indeed what he is capable of.
When David has a medical appointment, he has to be transferred by trained paramedics and taken in an ambulance. David's caregivers have to move him without a Hoyer lift.
We need to get him up out of bed.
Karen's repeated requests to Medicaid for a transfer board and electric wheelchair have gone unanswered.
We need an appropriate wheelchair, which we still don't have.
David does have a shower chair, but it gathers dust in the corner.
David needs to be able to shower. It's been 2.5 years and David has not been able to take a shower.
He needs a roll-in shower. He needs a big space to be able to accommodate all of his needs.
David should be receiving daily physical, occupational, and speech therapy from qualified therapists, but he's being denied the opportunity to improve. It's up to Elizabeth and Karen to do David's range of motion, fine motor manipulation.
We do arm movements for OT, and we're working on hand grips.
And encourage him to communicate.
Mom? Mom, thank you. Good job, David. I'm so proud of you. He cries when he's hurting. He calls out when he needs me. He smiles when he's happy.
While David's eye gaze computer goes unused.
Hey, can you look over here at me? Hi, thank you.
Still, David's loved ones hold tight to hope.
I see him in there.
Karen has spent thousands of dollars and countless hours building an accessible bathroom, tearing down walls, and widening hallways for the wheelchair she believes David will be able to operate someday.
He keeps me alive. He keeps me struggling. He keeps me going.
Meantime, they celebrate the small steps as major milestones
Continuing to make progress, I would say every day.
and pray for the day David can live again.
For him to have his life back. At least as much of it as he can.
That happiness is possible for his future, and that's important.